grew up myself and grew up my family, now 4 children. 2 of them still in Clarkston schools. My dad, one's a junior at Clarkston Junior High. It's Ellie, and then I have Evan, who's a 10th grader, who just started driving. For those of you guys who remember those days of getting the kids off to school and that little text now that tell you made it or leaving and all that. So very much vested as your superintendent, as an administrator, as an educator, and as a dad. I love Clarkston. I love this community. I love talking about engaging, tasting Clarkston, the parades, my kids walking through independent oaks to the streets of Clarkston, knowing what this town, this community needs to people in this room, and myself. And as superintendent, what I'm pledged to do in my time, I think it's not considered a job or a calling that we all get to hang the wheel for a little while. And in that tenure, be able to have that notion of stewardship, of community building, of taking care of what we have. That's the values that I grew up in, and very key, quintessential part of Clarkston is we take care of what we have, we invest in our children, we take care of our community, and we do our best to kind of continue to move forward as a community. And today, the information you're going to get is part of that. Looking at Clarkston schools, we still have a very big footprint within our Clarkston community. As you know, it's something we're proud of. We've always been proud of our schools, but they do need upkeep. And what we're proposing, kind of an extension, you're going to hear it somewhat redundant here for me, is that we've been working on a master plan for the facilities that our students are educated in for more than 50 years. We continue to update that plan, we keep watching it, and like any homeowner or anybody who's responsible for a facility or site, you look at your own house, it has repairs that need to occur. It needs to have upkeep. The driveway, your water heater, your kitchen, things over the years start to fail and need to be replaced and made up. And part of that upkeep is responsibility of administration, and it really is responsibility, I feel, as a community member in our community. We want strong schools, we want a reflection of our community. And as part of that, we know that with that upkeep, we maintain that pride that we have in our community, we maintain our home values. We maintain what we hold sacred in Clarkston, and we continue to move forward together. So I want you to hear the message today of some of the details of what Ron's going to be part of. Again, knowing it's a continuation, not only the last 50 years, but specifically since 2016, of Bond we did. And if you recall back, those of you who were there, we did major renovations and improvements, no big buildings, but we did improvements. There was 0 tax increase back then, and we have that opportunity to do that again now as a continuation of those plans. So this morning I wanted to kind of be an active listener and a participant. We're going to give pauses between segments of the presentation. First, how are you? Good. How are you? He was my teacher when I went to administrative school. Dr. Mike Bergson, which is where you kind of come in, people you just know. It's like being in the Bayberry or something. You just know the people who walk in the door. Anyhow, love the class, and I appreciate you being here. Talk about your hours too. So, anyhow, so without further ado, just plan it out. We're going to hear some details of that, and then I'll come on at the end. Again, pieces that you see or something that strikes you doesn't seem right, raise that hand and say, can we go over that, or can you explain that in a different way, or I'm just not getting it. It's completely fine. That's what this is for. So, stand up, Mr. Goodman, take the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Yeah, you want to hang out right up here. We hear that it's better with the microphone, so we're going to hang out over here.
You all here?
You good? All right, wonderful. So a quick overview of what we'll be focusing on today. We are asking our community for a no tax rate increase bond proposal that would bring in $197.5 million. With that again, no tax rate increase, and there are 3 areas that we are focused in on. That is safety and security, a new Clarkston Junior High, and the aging buildings and sites.
So the master plan is a 5-year plan that we catalog and then revisit, and we revisited in 20 after we completed our bond of 2016. And the review of that plan was a meeting with each principal and stakeholders at each building and a walkthrough. And the total plan is estimated right now at $420 million. And that is basically some dreams that were in that list, and then a lot of just different things that aging buildings need to have life cycles of replacements. Again, the key themes there that we came up with is meeting with each building. A big theme that came out was the air conditioning for all the schools. Safety and security has always been the top, and then of course the junior high. And we knew in the junior high in 2016 when we evaluated that building that it was tired and it was going to take a lot of money to bring up to the standard that we'd expect. And so we brought that back in 20 and really put a lot more time into what it would take to remodel that building. And when we got to putting dollars to each point, it was about 80% of the value of the building to remodel. And we'd still be stuck with a layout that isn't really the best. And part of the cost in doing those remodels, why it gets so high, is once you start touching in renovation work, you have to bring it up to the ADA standards of today. So some of the ramps that we have in there that work today would not qualify in a new build. And so those are why the cost got so high on that building. That's when we decided to start looking at what would a replacement look like.
So we talked to our community several times over the past, I'd say 9 months or so. Back at the beginning of this year, we were putting out surveys to our community members, our staff members, our parents, and our students, asking them about what was important to them. What did they want to see in their schools? What were the necessary changes? We took that information, used that along with the master plan of 2016 and all of the data and research that they had done to be able to come up with a plan that was doable within the means we wanted to be in. We didn't want to ask for $420 million because we didn't want to ask for an increase. We want to be respectful of our community. So with that said, we put out one more survey back in the spring asking, again, all of our stakeholders how they felt about the new master plan and the bond proposal. With that, you'll see we had about 1,300 individuals that responded to that survey. 80% of those are registered to vote here in Clarkston schools. 85 supported the plan, and 82 supported the bond question. This is all very positive information, but it's important to note that these are the individuals that we reach on a regular basis. These are our parents, our staff members, the ones that know exactly what's happening here in our buildings. So our efforts now are to be able to go out to our community, which we've been doing for several weeks and months now, to make sure that those who aren't in our buildings, who don't have a child or a grandchild in the building, understand what's happening here in our schools and why we believe the need for these updates and changes. And to the side, you'll see here, the way the information came back as far as who responded, it was the same as the size of the building. You would see much larger turnout at the Clark Junior High as it is a much larger building. So once again, we have 3 areas that we are focused in on. We all know we have to say it several times for it to finally be committed to memory. So once again, safety and security, new junior high, and aging building and sites. We'll start with safety and security. Right out the gate, we are going to improve the building air quality throughout all of our elementaries. This means air conditioning in every classroom for our elementary schools, but it also means better air quality. The air is going to move more. That's something that we've certainly learned is very important to us over these past several years through the pandemic. In addition to that, we'll be making updates on ADA accessibility, door hardware replacements, window blinds, building access controls, additional generator circuits for life safety systems, and fire alarm systems. Now, one of those bullets always kind of sticks out to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the generators that we're talking about for the life safety systems. Essentially what that means is if the power goes out in our building, will our phones, will our PA systems, will the emergency pieces that we need within our building still function? With these generators, that answer would be yes. Moving on to the new junior high, I would like to invite our assistant superintendent, Nancy Mahoney, up here to talk to us for a few minutes, because right out the gate, the one thing that we will have happen with a new junior high is larger classroom sizes, and she can speak to the importance of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to address this first bullet and how exciting and hopeful that I have for learning at the junior high. When this building was built, classrooms were small, Students sat in rows, they received information from the teacher, and learning looks very different in today. It's collaborative, it's engaging, it's project-based often, and so when we think about a new junior high, these larger class size rooms will be very beneficial to the learning. We did buy new furniture with the idea that this might happen, and we're doing our very best with new furniture in the current junior high, but the possibility to move into a larger space is very exciting for the learning that we desire.
Thank you. In addition to the larger classroom spaces, with the new junior high, we will improve the building efficiency and operational costs, improve the ADA compliance, which is something that Mr. Goodman had mentioned earlier. Currently, there is one ramp for our students or staff who are in a wheelchair to get from one level to the next. In addition, we will have improved vehicle traffic flow, improvements to our athletic facilities on that space. We will save the auditorium and the construction trades area. There will be updates to the construction trades as we continue to invest in those programs, but they're in great shape, so we're going to keep those and attach the new building to them. Additionally, as Ms. Mahoney said, we will be taking all of that furniture from the 2016 bond and we will be utilizing that in the new facility. Now, our last community forum was actually in the junior high, and we were able to take a tour and see exactly what it looks like and see some of those changes and ideas. Ms. Kimmel did a great job with that, but unfortunately we're not there today. So we do have a quick video that I'd like for all of you to see, just to get an idea of what to expect from two of our current teachers who are also graduates from when it was the Clarkston High School.
Clarkston Junior High School was constructed over 60 years ago. Educational design has evolved over the decades. However, our classrooms have not. While the building has been well maintained, these classrooms have not seen major renovations since I attended high school here. The proposed new building would support collaborative and innovative teaching and learning styles to prepare students for success beyond the classroom. A new facility on the existing site would provide larger classrooms and create physical space able to support innovative and collaborative learning and enhance student educational experience.
After considerable research and review, it was determined that renovating the existing building would not fully address all infrastructure and educational needs. The cost to renovate the existing junior high would approach the replacement cost due to the age of the building and existing infrastructure needs, including underground systems. Highlights of the proposed junior high include larger classrooms to support innovative and collaborative learning, improved building efficiency and operational costs, improved ADA accessibility and compliance, fine and performing arts improvements, athletic improvements, and traffic flow would be improved. Per the master plan, classroom furniture purchased with 2016 bond dollars would be reused in the new building.
If approved, the bond proposal would provide up to $197.5 million for district-wide improvements and is projected to require no tax rate increase to property owners over the current year debt millage rate. To learn more about this bond proposal, please visit the district website and watch for additional updates on social media. And please remember to vote on November 8th, 2022. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Now, there have been a lot of questions about the how, with the building going onto the same property where there is still a building and teachers and students in that building. Mr. Goodman can give some updates and details on how that will happen.
So I want to start with, this is a real high-level concept. So we have not got into a design of a building that could go out to bid immediately. So if this bond is successful, the real details of the design would start immediately and take about a year to complete and then get out to the contractors to be able to bid for the school. We needed to figure out a way that we could keep the building in service while doing the updates and the construction for the new building. So in order to do this, we have power needs and we have to heat the buildings and so forth while we're still occupying. So in this, there's phases and series of the bond, but in phase one, we will be building a
Another big question is, if the bond passes, how long does that 7 happen? What happens next? The answer is that 7.0 mils will stay until it is anticipated to be 2035. Now, certainly, that could be shortened. We did just in the spring refinance the bonds that we currently have, and with that, we were able to save an estimated $4 million in possible tax and interest, and we were also able to cut 4 years off of that repayment plan. So with that, we could certainly have this, but this is what is anticipated by our clerk's office. You can also go online, michigan.gov, to apply for that absentee ballot. Otherwise, on November 8th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., the polls are open, and you're registered to vote by mail. The deadline is the 24th of this month, so just around the corner. We do have our website with all of this information and much more at your fingertips. There are several other informational videos. Our FAQ summer tax would have a 0. It would be a gradual decline. Summer tax would have a 0. It would be a gradual decline. Yes.
I think you answered some of these questions, but I came in, but may have forgotten already. So the building project is going to take how many years?
4 to 5 years to complete 100%. Yep.
Okay. And you mentioned about other schools, some kind of improvements. Can you talk a little bit more about what you anticipate in terms of upgrading?
Yes. So in phase 1, so we call them phase 1s, like immediately when we get out, is going to be, we're going to start technology improvements to the infrastructure, our wireless and our network cabling and switches. And we're also going to work towards the air conditioning in the elementary schools and middle schools. So that, it's too big of a project to say it will all happen in 1 year, but over 3 years, we'd like to have those elementaries and middle schools completed with air conditioning. Then at the same time, we'll be building the junior high, and then we'll be tackling other projects within the district based on where it makes most sense or what are the greatest needs. We have roofing and parking lots and so forth. So kind of looking at that would be what is going to be the best bang for our buck as far as bidding. You know, when we're out to bid, we don't want to bring people back 3 times. But it will be in phase 1. We will start the air conditioning projects and the HVAC upgrades, and certainly I forgot to mention safety and security will be absolutely first. So some of those are we set in here. We have new door hardware going on where teachers can quickly lock their doors in their classrooms, and our 3 rings of security. And 16, we did the secure office renovations. So we got to buzz them in, and then they can't just walk down the hall. They have to be vetted at the office. And now this 3rd phase is just upgrading the door hardware in the classrooms. And also just other security updates like the generator circuits so that we can communicate in a power outage.
Are those improvements able to be done without any disruption to the
Yeah, we certainly have done this, and even in this last bond where we put additions at Independence and Springfield Plains, where things can't just be done in that 8-9 week window in the summer. So we'll work afternoons, we'll work anything we can to get our trades in there and not disrupt the classrooms. Yes?
When I focus on this, the design process going from the preliminary to phase 1, when do you anticipate that starting? Is that a full year start? That process?
So the process will start immediately. We'll put our teams together. We kind of started a team so we could do some high level, can this even be done on this site, and can it work? So we know we have a good feeling of that. We took staff and a team through different schools that have went through this, and different schools on the west side of the state and to just as close as Bloomfield Hills. But we will start immediately reassembling that team and then starting to do the documents. About a year. So right now the best for us in construction is to get out to bid in the fall of '23, and so that would be our goal is that, or I'm sorry, yeah, fall of '23. So we'll be out to bid in the fall and start the spring of '24 with this gym addition, and then '24 we'd be into the tear down of the old gym and then start the construction of that academic side. So a lot of times because of bidders, they do a lot of this work in the summer, although we're going to work throughout the year to do things that are to keep us on schedule. But a lot of the bids go out earlier and earlier, so we can get the trades before they fill up their plate, and then they start to throw numbers at us that don't make sense. Sean, you had.
Just saying, looking at the age of the junior high replacement, I got it as 80% new renovations. Do you compare that to a building like Renaissance, the old Clarkston High School
Yeah.
that was built in the early 1900s? How is that still standing?
Yeah, good question. So it's not necessarily all the time that we would just tear down a building. If there's an opportunity to rebuild and renovate, we're going to look at that. Certainly, the Renaissance building is one of our prized gems in the community. That building was built in 1929, and it was built with some very good craftsmanship. It has tall ceilings. They were thinking of things ahead of time. Where you come forward to the 50s, everything was built as quickly as they could. They needed to, our population growth, the baby boomers, they needed to get kids in classrooms, and they built them very quickly. They weren't built bad, but they were built with a lot of the infrastructure in the slabs underneath the building classrooms and tunnels, and they kept the ceilings really low. If you look, a lot of those buildings are flat roofs, barely 8-foot ceilings, and due to renovations and due to things like you can't put people in tunnels because confined space issues and things like that are you don't want to employ down there working on a pipe and they can't have the right air. So then we brought these pipes up into the ceilings, and that's even lowered the ceilings further. If you walk through the junior high, we kind of showed it in the video, or if you were there for our walkthrough, the kids in the junior high are way taller than when we were in school. It's crazy when I'm like, geez, and they're able to just touch the ceilings with their hands. But the 29th building had a lot of historic. It's a beautiful building. It was built solid, rock solid, as we say, and we were able to renovate that and keep that beauty to that. If you were here and remember the old middle school, it had a big addition on the front, and it looked like the old junior high. And we tore that section down when we renovated the Renaissance building back in 2002, 2005. So we will save them if we can, and certainly it's a good question. Yes? Oh, no, Dr. Ferguson.
Couple questions. Have we done any projections on our enrollment for 10 to 15 years from now? What does that look like, our enrollment projection?
Enrollment, yes.
I can feel that correctly. We use Plan Ran consultants to kind of review. They look at birth rates, they look at current bills, they look at how much space Clarkston, Springfield, actually Independence, and Springfield Townships, and parts of Wofford still have for potential growth. And then from that, they calculate kind of you were up the grade of our schools, but they give you kind of a projection. Clarkston Schools is leveling out right now in terms of total
questions as well about what this would look like for parents who are going to have students within the buildings during construction. And thankfully, the companies that we are working with, both architectural and construction, this is what they do. They do schools. We were just talking yesterday about some of the schools that they have done this exact work with while students are still within the classrooms. Certainly, the big work would be done over the summer, but one of the big pieces is that they will be building separate structures and then connecting them to the existing area. So there will be construction on the site. But it wouldn't be, there was, a couple of parents I was speaking with, are there going to be tarps, and is it going to be noisy? What is that going to look like? And the answer is no and no. They will be keeping all of that new construction separate as much as possible. I don't know if you can give any more details on that.
So if you've done home remodeling, you may have had a contractor use Visqueen to keep the dust out of your kitchen, or that doesn't fly with what we do. We have to go through the fire bureau and build actual 1 hour rated walls, and they're going to be drywall walls with actual doors. That will be our separation. So they're insulated for noise. It's not going to just be a piece of plastic Visqueen that somebody's welding steel behind. So we've done this a lot. Our contractors do it all the time, and certainly with the fire marshal involved, we have to submit these plans and show how we're going to make it safe for the occupants. So they will not ever let us start the project until those safety are in place. The fire alarm systems will still work. The egress will all be there. It takes a little bit more time to put that together to do our work, but it will always be that's the most important piece that we have to have in place before we start any project.
There's been a voice just that it's such a junior high historical emotion, right? In that building, can we preserve tiles? Is there any discussion on what we can preserve and utilize still just to have a connection to that building?
Yes, absolutely. We plan to bring in key stakeholders to our design meetings. That question, there is some tiles that were from part of the 50s that have Old Springfield Township. We did this in our last bond issue where we actually had contractors remove tiles, label each one, and re-put them up on a different wall. If that's the best, we've had also where we were able to cut the whole wall out and put them on a cart and move the whole wall and then put it into a new wall. So interesting ways on how they do that, but they did a great job on tile work that we've done in the other projects, and we certainly will do that here in the junior high. But we brought some of our historians in, George White being one of them, and he's going to be we've offered to bring him in as our team to help us identify what those would look like and where we would place them. Yes?
That might be a good segue to my question. As a parent in the district and a graduate of Clarkston schools, I'm here in the community. What can we do to participate in this, and how can we contribute to this effort? Certainly, everything I've heard today gives me so much confidence in leadership in this district. It's very clear that you guys have done a lot of thought and planning going into
I'm sorry, what's the question?
When you drop the gymnasiums, what happens to the winter sports for the kids?
So we'll have the new gymnasium built prior to that.
So you phase the new one in before you drop the old ones.
Any other questions? This is great. Yes, sir.
I think the strategy they have it on the upgrade ballot is that to save money with another general election.
Yes. Two things. One is feedback from this community over the
of something later, if you have a couple questions that come up after you come home and digest all of this, or if you and your neighbor start chatting and they have a question, please be sure to refer them here to our office. One of us will absolutely take the time to answer those questions. If we don't have the answers, we will get them. Because if you're asking it, there's a good chance someone else is, and we like to make sure that we're getting those questions answered for our community. So,
Well, thank you for being here today. Mr. Brian, I think just one-on-one questions. We're here. So have a wonderful day.